On a cool and breezy day, we welcome you to Seattle for action in the National Women's Soccer League. It's a first ever matchup between the expansion Houston Dash and the unbeaten Seattle Reign from Moda Health Pitch at Memorial Stadium. And great to have you with us, everyone, along with Leslie Gallimore, the head coach at the University of Washington. I'm Tom Glasgow. The Reign looking to complete a 3-game homestand to open the season a perfect 3-0. And Leslie, one of the big reasons why they're in position to do that, 6 goals through the first 2 matches, 5 different players scoring those goals, none of whom is named Sydney Leroux. That's got to be very encouraging for Seattle.
Oh, it's very encouraging for Seattle. It's very encouraging for Laura Harvey, who has built this team in the offseason. It's going to get redundant us saying it, but she's done a magical job putting together the team from year 1 to year 2 in the way that she wanted to, which was to make them a more attacking-minded, a more potent and dangerous team up front. I heard Sydney Leroux say the other night, "Can't someone throw me a bone?" So you might see her get on the board tonight. I know she's hungry to score.
Well, Houston arrives in Seattle with a record of 1-1, getting its first ever victory last week at Boston. And the star for the Dash in that game, a former Reign player in Teresa Noyola, who came off the bench to score 2 late goals.
She did. And, that game I watched, and it was, I think, it was a little bit of surprise to some people because, the Dash just kind of chip away at you, and that's what you'll see tonight. Coach Waldrom's team, he's got them believing. And even with some injuries here and there, they've still been tough in both the matches that they've played, and they came on late and I think took them by surprise when they went ahead 3-2. And a lot off the bench from Teresa Noyola, who is just, as we know, dangerous with the ball, dangerous off the ball, and she showed it again on last weekend.
And that performance moving Noyola into the starting lineup tonight. Great to have you with us from Seattle. It's Houston against the Reign. And some of the fans at Memorial Stadium enjoying the sunshine, although cool temperatures. Things will be warming up quite a bit in Seattle in the next few days, with temperatures expected near 80 by Wednesday. Let's give you the starting lineup, first of all, for the visiting Houston Dash, coached by Randy Waldrom, former head coach at Notre Dame. Of course, had 2 national championship teams there. Defensively let's start in the goal, of course, Erin McLeod, and her defensive line in front of her, Ari Romero, Nikki Washington, Osi Ohale, and Holly Hine. The midfield, Noyola, Becky Edwards, Jordan Jackson, and up front, Kaylia Ohai, Ella Masser, and the former Washington Husky who used to play for Coach Gallimore, Lindsay Elson. Starting lineup for the Seattle Reign, coached by Laura Harvey. It's the same lineup that started the last game on Wednesday. That was a 3-1 victory against Washington. In goal, Hope Solo, a defensive line in front of her of Lauren Barnes, Ellie Reed, Kendall Fletcher, and Stephanie Cox. The midfield of Kim Little, Keelan Winters, Jess Fishlock, and up front, Bev Goebel, Naomi Kawasumi, and Sydney Leroux. And again, we touched on in the open the spreading of the wealth offensively, which is really such a testament to the depth that the Seattle team has this season, something they did not have a year ago, Leslie, when they scored 4 goals in their first 10 games and 22 total on the season. So it is a completely different vibe with this team.
Yeah, well, you just had a shot there right before you see the Houston Dash huddle breaking up of the Seattle huddle. And right before they huddled, I saw Megan Rapinoe, who's resting her foot today, holding the shoulders of Sydney Leroux, giving her a little pep talk. Those two are quite a 1-2 punch when they're on the field for the Reign, as well as for the U.S. national team. So without her buddy on the field, she's getting a little confidence from her. There's a good shot of Rapinoe. Always serious, But hopefully whatever she said to Sydney works and Sydney gets on the board quick, because if she gets on the board quick, you could see her score multiple.
Naho Kawasumi simply goes by Naho, and she is getting the start for the second straight game in place of Megan Rapinoe, who looked pretty good in training on Friday, was getting some work, some treatment on her right foot, is listed as eligible to play today, but Again, we saw her on crutches not too long ago, so that would be certainly a surprise to see her go. And again, with the depth, Leslie, it may not be necessary to even consider playing her with some of the talent that Seattle has on the roster this season.
Sitting on 6 points with the players that are on the pitch that are healthy at home, there's absolutely no reason to risk the health of Megan Rapinoe at this point. I think the national team would appreciate it. I know that Laura Harvey's being smart about it for their own team. There you see a quick win by Kim Little and a quick transition by LaRue with Goebel running off.
Stephanie Cox, U.S. national team player, cross into the box. LaRue trying to create some room, does. The left-footed ball deflected and cleared out by Houston's Holly Hine.
And there you see a very quick break. Within 3 passes, the Reign have 5 people within the 18-yard box of the Houston Dash. The Dash are going to need to shore that up. They did a good job of defending it, but they're going to have to be careful on the break as, again, the Reign can get numbers forward quickly. Stephanie Cox all the way up to the corner of the 18.
Speaking with Randy Waldrum before the game, his area of concern is literally the midfield area, and that's where that last ball was turned over, creating a Seattle opportunity. We have our first foul called in this game, and a free kick coming up for Seattle. So
yeah,
he's going to need some inexperienced players really deliver in that midfield area.
You know, and Randy's just taken this job and just ran with it. You know, he did a great job in the draft. He's done a good job of putting the team together. They are young, a little bit inexperienced. The injuries haven't really helped them that much. But what you can see is a team that, regardless of who they have on the field, are bought into what Coach Waldrom's asking of them, bought into their roles on the team. And I said it in the opening, they chip away at you and they just kind of stay the course in the first 2 matches that I've seen. So, you know, what they don't want to do is let the Reign get on the board early. They want to try to, you know, make them work for it and get some of the ball themselves.
Ella Masser receiving the yellow card for that play. Little serves it into the box off the head of Kendall Fletcher, and a goal kick coming up for Houston. And that was impressive last week for the Dash to go on the road, trail twice, come back twice, and leave that game at Harvard Stadium with a 3-2 victory, as again Noyola came off late, scoring in the 81st and 85th minute, the 85th minute goal off a penalty kick. But that shows some real resilience by this expansion team. We have a discussion on the sideline. Our referee today, Dimitar Chavdarov, Eduardo Mariscal, and Ben Warren are the ARs working the touchlines, and the fourth official is Lucas Brooks.
They've asked goalkeeper Erin McLeod, to change her blue jersey. The only, you know, if I'm the Houston Dash, maybe I saw their coach take the jersey over there. I don't know if the fourth official asked them to do it or not. But I would say this, as a coach on either staff, slightly irritating because all of that should be taken care of in the pregame. And now the team is going to form
this is teamwork at its best.
Human closet around Erin McLeod for fear anyone see her in her jog bra, and so she can change her jersey.
Well, again,
this is a first right here.
It's a team bonding experience.
This is a first.
Right out of the gate. So little adjustment, and obviously the color of the Reign kits versus what Erin had in goal could lead to some confusion. So better to clear that up early than have something develop later on in the match.
Coach Waldrum said the same thing to me as he said to you, Tom, before the game, is that, one, he has a lot of respect for Kim Little. I think just what people have seen of her so far, she's already making a name for herself in the league, and she hasn't even been on the road with this team yet. But, you know, they are going to have to try to find a way to not let the Reign's midfield set the tempo, not let her penetrate past their forward line and spread balls around to their dangerous attacking three front.
So after the wardrobe change, Erin McLeod gets us going again. Of course, considered by most, if not all, who follow the Canadian national soccer program, the best keeper in Canadian women's soccer history.
You know, had a great career at Penn State, and Erin McLeod has made a name for herself in the league and in Canada. She's intense. You know, she's feisty. She's a character. She's a great goalkeeper. So it's not going to be easy. It never is easy to get one past Erin McLeod.
And those accolades that Erin has received north of the border certainly applying as well to the goalie for the Reign, Hope Solo, a former player of Leslie's at the University of Washington, a terrific career with the national team.
Hope had an interesting evening the other night. Stood there for a lot of the game. Didn't have that much to do in the first half. A couple of things, and then the second half, nothing until late. She got a back pass that wasn't the greatest back pass that the Spirit were pressing, and she ended up having to pull a little quick Corver move on a forward so as not to lose it in front of her goal. And then the PK that was conceded, I talked to her about that later, and she said she thought she was going to her right. She gave her the look at the last minute that she might be going left, so she bought the look and then just froze. And so that's part of the that's part of the gamesmanship and a little bit of the cat and mouse game you play when you're a goalkeeper faced with a PK.
Throw in for the Dash. As we are early on here in Seattle in the 6th minute. Flag up, offside. Kaylia Ojai getting a little bit ahead of the pass that time.
Kaylia Ojai coming off a year and a half ago U20 championship for the U.S. U20s in Japan. Just an outstanding player, a worker, a great team player. Was injured with a little bit of a high ankle sprain. It's great to see her back out on the field. She was the first draft pick for the Dash out of the college draft, and she's got tremendous speed, can finish. And is a 90-minute player typically. So it's good to see Kaylia back out on the pitch tonight.
New Barnes playing it back to Solo.
And there you see some of Kaylia's speed. And unlike the Spirit the other night, the Dash look like they're going to press out of this 4-3-3, and they're not just going to sit back and wait till the Reign come to the half line. So this will be a little bit of a newer challenge for the Reign to have to solve is how they play out of the back when they're pressed.
Becky Edwards.
Ohali, the Nigerian center back.
Little and Edwards getting after each other, and Little wins that battle. Playing it ahead to LaRue with her speed. And the corner kick conceded by Houston, and Seattle scoring 2 of its 3 goals on Wednesday off of corner kicks served up by Naho. And they were brilliant services. 1 goal leading to Kendall Fletcher off the foot, and Keelan Winters off the head.
And so you see the setup with LaRue on the end line. Fishlock comes over for the short corner. They play it to her sometimes. Other times they'll just serve it. I talked to Laura Harvey after the game, and restarts the near post run you see there, very dangerous. I talked to Laura Harvey after the game and told her it was very, very apparent that after last year's scoring drought, and particularly their lack of success on restarts, that's something they've spent a lot of time on. And sure enough, she said they have spent a lot of time on it, and it looks that way.
It was impressive because it's Naho in the lineup for Rapinoe. Those corner kicks normally would be taken by Megan, and here comes Kawasumi off the bench and doesn't miss a beat.
No, I mean, again, just insert the different moving part for the Reign, and it tends to stay pretty consistent as far as the level.
Fishlock. Stephanie Cox.
I think what a lot of people are going to see this year with the Reign is the change in Jess Fishlock's role. A lot of people were mentioning after the game, and you'll notice that, and I mentioned it a lot last year, that she just worked so hard in the midfield on both sides of the ball.
Excellent switch of the ball that time by Jess.
And this year with Kim Little in the midfield with her, she can serve more of a connector between Keelan and between Kim. She doesn't have to work so much the entire midfield on her own, which, she wasn't necessarily on her own last year, but I felt like she was overdoing it at times, and wasn't as effective as she could be. You saw her score a great goal towards the end of the match the other night as she pushed forward more into that 10 role. And, again, I think Kim Little, as the new player, is getting a lot of mention. It doesn't change the fact that the number 10 for the Reign is one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
That's for you, Gareth. What time's it there?
It's tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's Monday. What's interesting, too, is in terms of the defense, we've talked a lot, and rightly so, about the 6 goals scored through the first 2 matches, 3 in each game. The 1 goal allowed was off a PK, so Seattle has not allowed a goal in the run of play this season up to this point.
Yeah, and if their back line of Barnes, Fletcher, Cox, and Reed has anything to say about it or hope, they're not going to concede one without a big fight. So, great through the first couple of games. It'll be interesting to see how they get tested tonight by the Dash.
Barnes, that ball may have deflected off her left arm. Houston wanting a handball call, did not get it. And Goebel being harassed by Romero. And the switch over to Fishlock. She drops it off for Naho. And good defense that time by Kalia Ohai. Noyola, a little too strong on her last touch. And played ahead for Goebel, and she has room if she can get to the ball, and cannot.
So you haven't seen, maybe the pressing up a little bit higher, and maybe they're a little bit tighter in the midfield because obviously, as Randy Waldrum has said, that's where he's kind of had his team focus on them defensively, not to give them anything easy. But you haven't seen the Reign quite yet get into a passing possession rhythm like they did the other night against the Spirit.
Ohai.
Naho coming all the way to center from her right wing position to keep the ball locked on this side. Outstanding defending by the Japanese international.
Goebel looking for Naho. Their teammates in Japan, in Kobe, both on loan here to Seattle. Naho Kawasumi, a member of the Japanese national team.
And if you remember the year before the inaugural season, the Reign went to Japan and played their preseason, and they played INAC. And I don't know if that's when Laura Harvey first saw them. I'll have to ask her when she first saw both those players. It might have been during that preseason, but definitely a coup to pick those two up.
Goebel with 15 goals in 15 matches in Japan, the Golden Boot winner in that league. Out of the University of Miami. Taken away nicely by Stephanie Cox. Beautiful touch by Little out to Goebel, and Kim gets it back and feeds Fishlock, who has some room. She'll look to switch it.
Outstanding ball on a rope out to Naho with Ellie Reed streaking down the right side.
Reed on the overlap. And Holly Hine with a big defensive play for Houston. Corner kick number 2 coming up for Seattle.
And again, when they break and they switch, they do it quickly. You saw the quick combination on this side between Fishlock and Little, and the just 45-yard ball on a rope from Fishlock out to Naho with Ellie streaking on the overlap. Just picture perfect attacking.
Headed up, and again, and Nikki Washington giving Houston a little bit of breathing room. Little to Fishlock. Seattle still in a good scoring situation if they can make the connection, and can't make that last one to Bev Goebel. Throw in for the Reign. Game number 3 of 3 at home to open the season for Seattle. Their next 3 will be out on the road, and that'll start on Wednesday at Sky Blue FC in New Jersey, and then on Saturday at Washington, a rematch with the Spirit. And then on the 10th of May, they'll be down in Portland to take on their rivals, the Portland Thorns. Third corner coming up for Seattle.
Laura's intention, Coach Harvey, was to come out and press these guys early and really put the pressure on early to try to get something out of it. And the corners have been a proof that that's working. Now if they can get something out of it, the match plan will be perfect, much like they did the other night.
Little creating space. Left foot looking for LaRue, headed away by Houston. Goebel had hoped to flick it on, but Romero was there for the dash. Over the back is Fishlock. She picks up the foul.
I think it might be the first time I've seen Jess's hands go up like that this year, so that was a fairly common occurrence last year. Hey, if you're her height and you want to head, you got to get up there, and there's only a certain number of ways you can do it. Looks clean to me.
5 feet 2 inches tall.
Just reading on the Twitter feed that Boston's gone up a goal in the 13th minute by Julie King over Sky Blue.
Romero to throw in for the dash. And winners with the anticipation. Here's Noyola.
Noyola stand out at Stanford, stand out with the Mexican international team for Mexico. Again, very technical player. Keeps the ball well. Tried to open it up there, but you'll just see her be able to set the rhythm and pace for.
And the Houston bench receiving a warning. They were protesting quite enthusiastically. They felt that a handball should have gone against Cox, and there was an earlier handball call they felt should have been called on Lou Barnes. Ojai. Edwards. This is Ellie Reed for Seattle. Little working that touch line nicely. Masser with some pressure applied, and that forces Fletcher to make the mistake and throw in quickly for the dash.
And Ella Masser is just a fighter. She's a scrapper. That's a great ball in by Elston.
And the first corner of the match coming up for the dash.
Ella Masser can cause you fits. She's feisty. She's a scrapper. She'll get the rebound goals, and she also can create on her own. She's one that you don't want to take your eye off of.
Coming to Houston via the expansion draft, played for the Chicago Red Stars last season, had 3 goals for them. She delivered the first goal in dash history, 50th minute last week at Boston.
She's another one that I think was hampered by a small injury. It's good to see her back as well.
Edwards. Did not hit that the way she would have liked. Goal kick coming up for Hope Solo. 16th minute, actually 17th minute here in Seattle at Memorial Stadium. Plenty of soccer history here. The original home back in 1974 of the Seattle Sounders, the first incarnation of the Sounders in the North American Soccer League. Of course, the MLS version playing about 10 minutes from here, 10 minutes south at CenturyLink Field, and a big 4-1 win yesterday over the Colorado Rapids.
Yeah, that was an outstanding game. Clint Dempsey really doing it for the Sounders this year, and hopefully just warming up to make a World Cup run.
Can't believe how close it is.
It's coming up. It's getting exciting.
Second corner of the game coming up for the dash. It'll be, again, Nikki Washington to take it.
It's 00:15 in Wales, or wherever Gareth lives in the UK. It's going to be a long Monday for him, he says. Welcome, East Coast listeners as well as international listeners. We appreciate you tuning in. Dash just setting up in a clump and then spreading across the 6.
Flicked away by Little. Kim gets it back, and she's on the move. Taken away by Ojai. Noyola. And Fishlock aggressively, and she's fouled by Washington, who got a good chunk of Jess's jersey in her hand. Here's Sydney LaRue.
And the quick restart. You don't want to doze off on that, and that's got to be called. Yeah.
And it is. Becky Edwards fouling Sydney LaRue in the box, and it's a penalty coming up for Seattle.
A lot of high-fiving going on the Reign bench. Looks like Little's going to step up and take it. It's dangerous. If you haven't played against Sydney LaRue a lot, you don't really realize that 5th and 6th gear she has. When she takes a touch by you, it's dangerous, and you've got to be ready for it. And Becky Edwards obviously there. A little bit late on the tackle and missed the ball and got all Sid.
Kim Little scoring on a PK in the first game of the season against Boston. We'll see if she can do it again in Game 3. She does. Kim Little with her 3rd goal this season. And Seattle, in the 19th minute, takes the 1-0 lead against the Dash, and really created by the speed of Sydney LaRue.
Yeah, we're going to give Sid partial credit for that. Even though she's not on the board yet, she created that kick from the spot, and Little converted it, and it's, again, that danger going forward. I'll say that, again, if you look at both teams and you compare them, there's an experience level on the Reign that the Dash doesn't quite have yet. The Dash do have some technical players, but where it breaks down is when Noyola and Ojai are trying to quickly combine with some of the other players that maybe can't play up to that pace quite yet, that they turn it over and create a counter chance for the Reign. That all started with the foul from Nikki Washington and the quick restart back at the half line.
Yeah, Houston trying to work on a combination there, as getting in and making some Seattle defenders nervous. Your former player, Lindsay Elston,
Yeah, I've been impressed so far. Lindsay looks like she's playing her role defensively well. She's had a couple of touches on the ball, played a good low cross into Ella, and she looks comfortable. I'm happy to see it. I'm super proud of Lindsay and how she went into Houston as a trialist, ended up not only making the roster, but Game 3 finding her first start of the season in the NWSL. Big testament to her and her work rate.
In fact, a number of players who have made this Houston squad as trialists. Into Masser. Here's Elston. And that ball will stay in. Osi Ohale, another one of those trialist players on the squad, a Nigerian international, performed in the 2011 World Cup in Germany. Injuries opening up an opportunity for her. We talked about midfielder Brittany Bach and Lauren Sesselman, a defender, both out this season due to ACLs.
Yeah, that's been a little bit of a rough go for Randy right off the bat, just the injuries. And I mentioned Macer and Kalia Ohai earlier having to sit for injuries, but both back now and maybe not at 100% yet. So injuries in this league with some of the travel schedule and the way the schedule stacks up, you know, you want to stay as healthy as you possibly can. Injuries can start to take their toll.
Into Goebel. Free kick coming up off the foul.
You know, you got to admire the Dash. Instead of sitting back and giving the rein their half of the field, they are stepping up and pressing. You see them arguing the call there. Their job, you know, obviously, and their instructions from Coach Waldrum is to try to win it in the attacking half and get after him. So we didn't really see this the other night. It will be interesting to see how the Reign handle the pressure, break pressure to build out.
LaRue heads it on. Hine getting it out for Houston. Elston now. Washington with a drop. Always have to be leery of Sydney LaRue with her speed. You have to be very accurate with those passes. Cox playing it up ahead. A little too strong. And quickly, McLeod gets it out to Washington. Romero.
Ari Romero, another Mexican international that I believe the Reign had the right to.
Yes.
She was part of a trade.
She had been allocated to Seattle and was picked up by Houston in the expansion draft. Never played here.
It's starting to sound like the Mariners. You know, when any team comes into town, it's the parade of former Mariners that have been in and out of Seattle.
Well, we've had a few.
Yeah.
Was Teresa Noyola. Was here for a good portion of the early part of last season, and then was traded to Kansas City for Renee Cuellar.
Yeah, and that, you know, last year it was just the team was just out of balance positionally. Way too many midfielders, a lot of midfielders like Christine Nairn. Teresa Noyola was called upon to play up front as a forward, which really isn't her natural or best position. And so it looks like she's found a good home here for on the Dash, one where she can have an impact.
Goebel, little with room. A lot of room. Flicks it over. Kawasumi, Naho. And to cut it back, feeds Fishlock.
The composure.
Kawasumi was hoping maybe to get a shot on goal.
Yeah, she took a little bit too long to pull the trigger, and a good defensive job by the Dash. But just the calmness and composure, and that's what you get from a lot of Japanese players. Just they're so comfortable on the ball, so technical. Their speed of play is phenomenal, and it's, you know, really a joy to watch.
You followed the 2011 World Cup closely. You may have caught the semifinal between Japan and Sweden, and Nahomi Kawasumi with 2 goals off the bench in that semifinal. And of course, the Japanese going on to win it all against the U.S. squad.
Yeah, the Under-20 World Cup in Japan, where Kalia Ohai was on that team. She will tell you, after spending 36 days there, along with my associate head coach Amy Griffin as the goalkeeper coach, the Japanese, the culture, the players, I mean, they're little assassins when they play you. They want to win as much as anybody. They're competitive. But in speaking with Bev and Naho, you could tell just the gentle, polite manner with which they carry themselves as professionals is it's great. I mean, they bring such a different look to the Reign team in combination with Jess and Kim and the U.S. internationals. It's just a great mixture of players right now to be around.
Oftentimes, post-training, you'll see Naho out here just running some casual laps, but she's just running and going and constantly moving, and they're very committed to contributing in a major way to this club, which she already has. Elston with some room. The cross. Nearly Husky versus Husky with Elston putting it in the neighborhood of solo.
Yeah, I think she maybe wanted to bend that one back across or get it a little bit lower in front of the frame. It almost, if she would have struck it a little more flat, was going on frame and could have been a great shot. That's one of the things that you have to watch out with for Lindsey Elston. She doesn't need much time or space to crack a ball with either her right or her left foot. Randy Waldrum saw that up close and personal 2 seasons ago when the University of Washington faced Notre Dame here in Seattle. It was a 3-0 victory for the Huskies, and he remembers Lindsey, which is why I think he was very interested in having her come in as a trialist and not having enough room in the draft to take her. I think he's found a good player and has been pleased with her so far. She knows she has a lot to learn still, but has really, really enjoyed her time down in Houston so far.
There's Lindsey, guarded by Stephanie Cox, who knocked the ball away. And here comes Little to Cox. Naho shoots as she goes down, and that'll be a goal kick for Houston. A very impressive attack on goal that time by Seattle, but the Houston defense rising to the occasion.
And that's where Lindsey, I was just about to comment on her comfort in the ball, but she took one too many touches and it led to a turnover in the midfield. She recovered well, as did the rest of the Dash defense. Nikki Washington here with a little bit of a hit. I think the Dash a little bit fortunate not to have conceded a penalty kick there. It was a good tackle, but there's some referees that, based on her positioning coming from behind, might have called that. So bullet dodge there by the Dash.
Nikki Washington will get some treatment from the Dash trainer. Washington out of the University of North Carolina. She was acquired by the Dash in a trade with the Portland Thorns last season with Portland. She had a goal and 2 assists. In fact, she had an assist against the Reign last April 21st, a 3-time national champion with the Tar Heels, 06, 08, and 09. That's a pretty good career.
Yeah, there's a lot of people walking around with Tar Heel rings. Yeah. She's one of them, multiple Tar Heel rings, I would say. See, I can't get it makes my throat close when I start to say that. But Marcia McDermott, if you're listening, I'm just teasing. Nikki Washington, super athletic. This is going to be unfortunate for the Dash if they have to sub for her. Randy will wait and see what the trainer says and give her a chance to maybe run it off. But, Nikki provides good attacking out of the back, obviously speed, pace, and a hard-nosed tackling mentality that you want on your back line.
So for the time being, Houston will be down a player. We'll see if the Reign can take advantage of that.
She looks to be jogging it off, so hopefully that's good news for Houston.
Elston, opportunity here maybe for the Dash. Lindsey Elston, and then knocked away by Fishlock, doing a nice job recovering defensively.
Yeah, they all did. You see the way that not just Fishlock, but Barnes and Fletcher, Cox and Reed just collapse into the middle onto Lindsey. And that's, again, experience. She does a great job. Lindsey can run at pace and cover a lot of ground in a short period of time, but she needs to learn to let go of the ball a little bit earlier. She tried to create a shot for herself there, and then at the last minute tried to play it through, but defense had already collapsed at that point.
In the 30th minute, 1-0 Seattle. The goal on the penalty kick by Kim Little. Solo surveys the field.
Plays a great ball forward for LaRue to flick.
To Kim Little. Nice move by Little. Flicks it on to Goebel. Cleared out by the Dash. Noyola. Check it, that was Masser. And she's taken down No, it was Teresa Noyola taken down by Keelan Winters, who commits the foul.
I've enjoyed watching, because I have not seen her play other than here with the Reign and in their preseason, is Bev Goebel. You know, she kind of plays two roles. She's sort of a traditional target striker. You see her with her back to goal quite a bit. She draws a lot of fouls. She's good at holding the ball up and sort of agitating defenders and baiting them into tackling her. But she also can cover some ground. She can get through and get herself facing. She's sort of a mix of the straightaway running forward and a target forward, and she switches up her role depending on what's going on with the other two up front. She's fun to watch.
And in training, I mean, she is as creative and as dangerous offensively as any player on this team. Just has not broken through in the scoring column yet.
Holly Hine, great job to cut that ball out there from Naho. She almost threaded LaRue in on the short pass.
So the dash with the throw in. Nasser flicks it ahead. Off of Ojai, and the throw in for the Reign. Stick with us at halftime. We will have a conversation with the executive director of the National Women's Soccer League, Cheryl Bailey, who is in attendance. So it'll be nice to talk with her about year 2 in the NWSL and the league's perspective on how things have gone up to this point and the goals. And obviously we all know how critical it is in the third attempt to get women's professional soccer firmly established in this country, with the first 2 tries ending after year 3 this second season. Very important in terms of setting up that critical third year. Nikki Washington will be returning here momentarily.
And another corner coming up for the Reign.
That'll be corner number 4. Houston has had 2. And Washington back on the pitch.
Quick update from around the league. Ocampos tied the game up at 1-1 for Sky Blue against Boston in the 29th minute. Her first goal of the season.
Short corner into Fishlock to Little. She goes to work on Washington, who had been shaken up in the area of Kendall Fletcher, who scored last time out against Washington. Goal kick for McLeod. Aaron McLeod with Chicago last year had 4 shutouts for the Red Stars. Next game for this Dash squad will be at home on May 3rd against FC Kansas City. Here goes Ojai, number 7 against number 7. Ojai against Reed. And a corner kick coming up for the Dash. And well done by Ojai.
Yeah, and there you see a little bit of Kaylea's burst and her ability to take on 1-versus-1 and get a serve off with either foot. Really dangerous ball. Well defended by Ellie Reed. I mean, put it out for a corner, but that was going to be dangerous if it came across the 6. She was deep into the box there.
Washington with the corner. Headed away. Gathered in by Noyola off the referee. That may have been a break for Houston. And a collision in the box.
Fletcher and Mace are head to head there. That didn't sound great. Hopefully it's not as bad as it sounded.
Like Nikki Washington was down again. She is back up. Masser is down, and let's hope this is not concussion related.
Can you repeat that schedule for me again? Are they home May 3rd, did you say? Or are they May
I have Houston home May 3rd against FC Kansas City.
Home, May 3rd.
Seattle, after today, will have 3 consecutive games on the road. As Masser is up, and that's a very good sign for the Dash.
Great sign. Yeah, this is an important match for the Reign. If they're able to take 3 points again for the 3rd consecutive time at home before they go on the road again to see Sky Blue, Washington, and Portland,
gives you a little
huge.
breathing room.
It'll huge. Yeah. It's huge. You know, you look at trying to get 3 points in every match, but if you look at those 3 away games and how they're spaced out, if you can, win, maybe draw, and just get points, any points out of those road games before you come home, you're going to do well over the season, the course of the season. I'm reminded that they'll have
Cox clearing it out.
Naho leaving on May 4th, so they'll be without her. Hopefully LaRue will be back and healthy, and the U.S. internationals will take off at some point again for another camp.
And that's where that depth comes into play. So important. Cox getting it away from Noyola. Here's Goebel.
That was a little bit uncharacteristic for Teresa Noyola. A little bit sloppy on the pass that she tried to shovel out to Elston. And again, just unnecessary giveaways when you're playing against this Reign team. You can get punished by them. You have to really focus on taking care of the ball when there isn't that much pressure on you.
Laura Harvey saying before the match, one element of her team she was most curious about was after success in the first 2 matches, would they come with the same intensity as they had in those first 2 games? So sometimes difficult to tell from our distance, but it looks like she's getting the effort and the quality of play that she'd like from her team. Ellie Reed getting booked.
Yeah, I've been impressed. I think they've come out with good energy, stuck to the game plan. You know, the 3 teams they've played against have all played sort of differently against them, and they've seemed to have figured it out. And you know, and again, when you have the likes of the players that are sitting on the bench right now staring at you as a starter, you never can afford to let your guard down or play beneath the level that Laura expects, or you'll be replaced. So it's great competition. It's a great environment for them to be in, to be able to bring their best every game.
Naho, Little with a lot of room, and Goebel, no one near her, and there goes the ball to Bev. Cox with the overlap, Goebel with the shot, deflected by Romero. And McLeod calls it in. Boy, a lot of room for Bev Goebel on that near side of the pitch.
And you see, you know, Goebel's able to cut it inside and almost gets a shot off. It's deflected and defended well, but because Stephanie Cox has made, you know, this long run from the back to cause the defender to have to play Bev one way or the other, she has to pick. She causes a distraction for her to be able to cut it inside and look towards goal.
Holly Hine. Fishlock. Goebel.
Jordan Jackson. Oh, what a
Kim
terrific
Little
ball that is.
with room. Oh, Kim Little with the goal, showing great patience, and Seattle leads 2-0.
That was beyond first class. The composure, the cutback, the finish, all of it top notch right there from Kim Little. Not to be outdone by the ball that was played into her, just simply outstanding. When you look at the replay of that pass by Bev Goebel that splits the entire back line of the Houston Dash, and just both players overrun her on the defense, she calmly cuts it back and nets the second goal for the Reign tonight.
I love that angle from behind the goal. Terrific camera work and a terrific play for the Reign, who have the 2-goal advantage. That one coming in the 38th minute. The dream scenario for Laura Harvey today, obviously, first and foremost, you want to get the victory and the 3 points and, you know, start making your way back east with those 9 points. She'd like, if possible, to get some of these starters some significant rest today. This is the second match for the Reign, second of 4 over an 11-day span.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You know, the other night they hung on to that 1-goal lead for probably longer than she wanted to. For as much possession as they had against Washington, they didn't score again. So she kept the starting lineup on for the majority of the game, not making any substitutions till late. This game's getting a little chippy here. There's a lot of oohs and ahs from both benches as far as the referee and the calls. He's had to have one too many lectures with players and benches so far. It'd be good to probably see that minimized a bit and just let the game go. Put the ball down, play it. But so tonight, if they can get on the board one more time, it would be great in the big scheme of things to see some more players play and rest some of the starting players.
Well, for Kim Little, in game number 3 this season, already her second game with 2 goals, and like the first game, One was in the run of play, and the other a penalty kick. 4 goals on the season for Little. Naho trying to create near the 18. Reed serves it in. LaRue. Here's Goebel. And with the volley, unable to really put the heat on that shot she'd like. But again, more pressure coming from the rain.
I just think, like with an Ari Romero and some of the players for the Dash team, that misclear there and Bev Goebel's wide open in the box, those are just experience issues. You can tell some of the younger players that they don't understand that little things like that could be the difference between a goal and not a goal.
Keelan Winters playing it back to Hope Solo as Seattle will reset. Stephanie Cox up ahead. Goebel trying to connect with LaRue.
Ari does a great job of cutting that one out that time. Now she's got to find a place to play it out quickly. Sloppy by Becky Edwards on the combination.
Good job by Houston doubling up on Kim Little. Usually takes at least 2 players to really deny her when she's on a roll.
They did a great job of doubling up, but what Houston has to do now is if they're going to win balls in tight areas like that, they've got to use maybe 2 passes to get out and find the other side that's open, because the Reign are pressing and swarming right when they lose the ball. They're not going to have time to take 3 and 4 passes in one area of the field before they're dispossessed.
Stephanie Cox, LaRue. LaRue trying to create some room, has some, shoots! Oh, far post. Nearly had Aaron McLeod beaten on a terrific shot by one of the top goal scorers in the world right now. Of course, outstanding with the U.S. national team last season for Boston, 11 goals. Sydney LaRue, just 23 years of age, wanted to come play in Seattle. She's from British Columbia originally and wanted to be closer to family. Here's Fishlock. Haley Reed on the overlap, looking for LaRue. Good job by Romero.
Good job by Romero to cut that out. She was inside Sydney, had great positioning. Teresa Noyola did a decent job of trying to hang with Ellie Reed on the flank over there, but that's not a great matchup. Dash still, I think, need to do a better job in possession of just playing 1 and 2 touch, finding their open players, moving the ball a little bit more quickly. They're getting dispossessed too easily at this point.
O'Hale limping now, number 20 for Houston. If she can shake that off. We're looking for the switch. Comes up short and trying to make the connection, but a foul called against the Dash. And a free kick coming up for Seattle. In the 44th minute, 2-0 Reign. Goals from Kim Little.
Breakers have gone up on a Leanne Sanderson goal, 2-1 in the 42nd minute, Boston Sky Blue.
Little again. She seems to be everywhere on this pitch tonight.
Both-footed, uses her body between the defender and the ball. Such good deception, such good speed and pace with the ball. And most importantly is just her football IQ and her pace of thinking and how quickly she sees things. It's just different class.
Ojai, defended by Cox, overlap Elston. Ojai could not make the connection with Lindsay. Edwards trying to win it back for Houston, can't. A lot of room for Reed if Little can find her, but it's Little on the move right up the center of the field.
First touch beats Jordan Jackson, and she's in.
Kawasumi onside. The cutback, the shot, the save by McLeod.
Clean hands by McLeod. Great cutback by Neho. And this is where the game has opened up in the midfield, just as Coach Waldrum had feared a little bit. You see the way that Kim Little lets the ball run across her body. Her first touch is a yard past Jordan Jackson, and then she's chasing her from behind, speeding up the play more than anything else with no one pressuring her from the back line, and that's going to give you fits all night if you let that happen.
The fourth official has indicated there will be a minimum of 4 minutes of added time.
Minutes of added time here in the first half. Little to Goebel. All taken away by Becky Edwards. Still with possession for Houston. Goebel with the steal from Romero. Playing a ball into the box, hoping she could get a connection going with LaRue.
Sid working really, really hard. You can tell she's hungry for a goal, pressing their back line, turning the ball over. You know, the great thing, and I think one of the biggest parts of Sydney LaRue's maturing as a player as her career has gone on, is that she is very much willing to play both sides of the ball, very much willing to do the dirty work to try to turn balls over for her team. When she's not scoring, she's still a huge factor on the, on the pitch as far as the work rate that she gives you, and you witness that there. They're going to start to fall for Sid sooner than later.
Nasser was thinking about the quick throw in, decided not to, allowing some of the Dash players to get into more of an offensive position. So Romero will toss it in. Holly Hine forced to play it back to McLeod. So far from content with a 2-goal lead. LaRue had to give up on that play in the offside position. Winners. LaRue out wide to Reed.
7 players within 30 yards of the Houston goal for Seattle.
Naho Fishlock got a foot on it. And Washington.
Good clear by Nikki Washington. Great skill by Key to bring it down, and again Seattle possessing the ball out of the back. I think what you're going to see from the Seattle team, because I don't see it changing against any of the other 8 teams in the league, to be honest, as good as a lot of the rosters are, is that if you're going to let them have the ball this much, it's hard to be great in the attack when you do as much defensive running as they make the opponents do. You start to see the wear and tear as the half wears on here. We're at the 45-plus minute mark, and when they get the ball, they're just not as sharp because they've been chasing. And it's such a great weapon to have, to be able to possess the ball against team and make them chase, so that, again, you see this ball get played out of bounds. You're just not as sharp when you've been run ragged for 45 minutes.
Cox in the area of LaRue. Fishlock being harassed by Jordan Jackson. Nasser with great effort chasing that ball down, but Solo clearing it out. Offside.
Huh. So I was talking about with Sid earlier. She's going up and flicking headers. I'm not quite sure I really saw that a lot early on in her career. And now she just works. You know, she really, it's impressive. And I think she's learned over the years to keep her spot on the national team with the likes of an Abby, a Pino, an Alex Morgan, a Kristen Press, that she's got to find another level in her game, and she has. I think the Seattle team for her it has been a great professional move, and it'll help her international career.
Romero. A nice job working against that Seattle defense, right up against the touchline. Throw in for the Dash. Elston doing a terrific job just getting that ball in play, and a near goal for the Dash by Ella Masser.
Might have mentioned that before. Ella Masser, she's a scrapper. Lindsay can whip a ball in, and that went right across the 6 to the far post. Ella Masser laid it out twice. Once, from a standing position, and the other time from on the ground. That is not how you would have wanted to go in at halftime if you were the Reign, conceding a goal in the waning moments.
Really dodging a bullet there. And I tell you, Lindsay Elston, to get that ball, her back was completely to the goal. To be able to make that pivot the way she did and put that ball was where she did was very impressive. And number 30 just unlucky not to be able to find the back of the net and give Houston some momentum heading into the locker room, down 2-0 here in Seattle, where Kim Little has both goals. 19th minute, a penalty kick, foul called in the box on Becky Edwards, and then 19 minutes later, Little again, the assist from Bev Goebel, and the 2-0 Seattle lead here at Memorial Stadium. We will take a brief break. Stick with us. In a few moments, we will rejoin you with Cheryl Bailey. Cheryl is the executive director of the National Women's Soccer League, and we'll talk all things NWSL with Ms. Bailey here at halftime. 2-0 Seattle at halftime here at Memorial Stadium. Seattle leading the Houston Dash. It is great to have alongside. We got to meet last season at Starfire, now the new home of the Reign here, the executive director of the National Women's Soccer League, Cheryl Bailey. Welcome back to the Emerald City.
It's always great to be back.
Always great to bundle up when you come here, too, in April.
I'm afraid so.
Yeah, in a few days it's going to be 80. We missed it by that much. Year 2 of the NWSL underway. I think it's great to have you here on a night when the expansion Houston Dash is here, so the league grows from 8 to 9 teams. And just your early impressions, Cheryl, of this second season, a very important season, obviously, for the NWSL.
It is an important season. Last year it was a scramble, getting everybody up and going. However, each team pulled it off very, very well. We were very impressed with the amount of energy we had in the league, the amount of competitiveness we had. Obviously, attendance was a benchmark we've now set to be able to grow from for each of the teams. And I did have a chance to go to Houston for their opener, and they had a great opener.
Yeah.
They had over 8,000 people. Building their roster is a little bit like all the rest of them did last year. So they're having a little taste of that. But, you know, we're very impressed with what all 9 teams have done so far this year.
Let's talk a little bit about that, a segue from the Dash. Read recently on Twitter, true, not true, about the Portland Thorns being attached to an MLS team like the Houston Dash and having the larger attendance numbers, and talking about profit sharing. Now, is that something that's been formalized, or is that just rumor? Or? Conjecture, what can you tell us about that? We've got the big cheese here. We want to know.
Well, Portland did have a remarkable year last year. They had great attendance, and with that comes, an opportunity to make money, which they did last year, which is exciting for us, of course. And they did, we're willing to provide some of that back to the league. We don't have a formalized profit sharing in place. That's something we will look forward to when that becomes, a mainstream for all of us. But in the short term, Portland was great to be able to share some of that with the league and the rest of the teams.
And the other thing that you mentioned was about Houston and building their roster. What's your impression so far of what Laura Harvey and Bill Predmore and the ownership here at Seattle has done between year 1 and year 2 in building their roster?
Yeah, they've done a great job. As you know, we increased the international spots from 2 to 3, and several teams, including Seattle, have certainly taken advantage of that and done a great job with that. They were very active in the offseason, probably one of the most active teams in the offseason, and you can see they put together a great team.
Yeah, what a difference a year makes. We were talking last year with this club missing its U.S. allocated players for various reasons, 9-1 to start the season, and now here they are looking to get 9 points in their first 3 matches. Leslie brought up, Houston and Portland and their business connections with teams in Major League Soccer. Is that a model that the league would like to build on with its other franchises, or is it doable in the long term, Cheryl, to have independent ownership not connected with MLS?
I think we'll always have a combination of both. I think each brings a little something to the table. Certain markets don't have MLS teams, and they might be better markets for women's soccer. But I think clearly they've shown that it's a great model to be able to get up, get going. Houston had a distinct advantage to be able to pull this off as quickly as they did. But I think clearly we want to make sure that we have the best teams that we have in the league, best cities, best infrastructure. So it will probably continue to be a combination of both.
And one of the other things from the first season, the inaugural season, to last year, and I got to be a part of it, was at the NSCAA convention this year and the open draft for the college draft. So I got to be a part of that and help live tweet, and you were there introducing the players. And I just think the visibility of it and sort of the pageantry of having a college draft was certainly a fun event and outstanding, and hopefully something that you guys plan to continue to do and build on.
We will. It's great to bring people into the league and to be able to take several coaches, college coaches, to be a part of the college draft with their players, with or without their players, and just the attention that it got and the excitement and the enthusiasm. You can just get a real feel for people wanting to be a part of this league, and there's a variety of things we can do to make that happen, and we look forward to doing that.
And being a part of U.S. soccer, to see all those U.S. U20 players kind of go right at the head of the draft certainly speaks to the development, the college game in conjunction with U.S. soccer and the impact it's having on the professional league. Kalia Ohai being one of those players here tonight. They had a great year this year with the college draft, and you see a lot of impact players coming in and starting for their teams, which isn't always the case. So it's been a great segue from college to the league to ultimately, the possibility of being part of the national team, which is what this league hopes to be able to provide to the head coach of the national team. Is this where we talk to you about that? Or we let Tom ask his question?
You know what? That's not on my side. I just take care of the league.
Well, what I wanted to ask you about, amongst other things, I know this is takes a lot of effort from a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, a week-to-week basis, but I want to jump to next season real quick because that's what we do in the media. But next year is a World Cup year, and I know some fans are curious how that'll impact the league. How do you see that as potentially being a positive? Are there negative elements to that in that critical year 3? And they all are critical early on, I know, but when the previous 2 incarnations of professional soccer in this country did not get past a 3rd season, that World Cup and this league will seem to have a very important relationship next year.
They will, and it's an exciting one because I think clearly we have now fans in the U.S. that understand players from around the world, several of them playing in the National Women's Soccer League. So the ability to combine that, the National Women's Soccer League, the World Cup, we are taking a look at the schedule to see how we might modify that in some way, and there's a variety of options that are on the table that we haven't finalized at this point in time, but we will. But we think that momentum will carry well from the league to the World Cup and then back to the league. So it's something we think is a very positive all the way around.
If Ziggy Schmidt were here, he would tell you here's what not to do. Schedule a break and then put Open Cup games in the middle of that break. I think I read that somewhere, so I'm just giving Ziggy a little plug there.
It's such a unique sport, for the traditional, you wouldn't imagine, for example, a Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks
Right.
or a Felix Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners leaving their teams midstream to go play either for a country or in a secondary competition. So we're all trying to wrap our arms around that. But again, it's one of the reasons they call it the beautiful game. Sometimes it's
Exactly.
beautifully difficult to figure out, but that's
Well, it's
okay.
a world game.
Yeah.
And so the world looks at it a little differently than we
Right.
do just here in the United States. And that's part of the education, part of letting people be a part of that world game in a different way. And I think that's exciting. They're all learning, they're all being educated. The media obviously lets us really bring it into their home in a different way, social media as well as live television. So I think it's something that they'll just get educated and they'll be excited to be able to be a part of both.
Anything else? Should we let her off the hook? Let the Cheryl Bailey
see.
tour continue?
I'm sure the Twitter people will let us know what we didn't ask you when we're finished here, Cheryl. But it's always great to see you and great to talk to you. And we just really enjoy having this team in our city. So thanks for making it happen.
You bet. We're excited. Seattle's done a wonderful job.
All right. Be sure and stop by with us next time you're in town.
I will do that.
All right, Cheryl, thank you so much.
Thank
Cheryl
you.
Bailey, the Executive Director of the National Women's Soccer League. We will take a brief break. We're just about 4 minutes away from kickoff to get the second half underway here in Seattle, where the Reign lead the Dash 2-0. Welcome back to Memorial Stadium, Moda Health pitch here in Seattle as we are about to get the second half underway between the Seattle Reign and the Houston Dash. Again, our thanks to Cheryl Bailey, the Executive Director of the National Women's Soccer League, for joining us here at halftime. Seattle with the 2-0 lead, with both goals in the first half coming from Kim Little, the first in the 19th minute. The penalty kick right there. That's Kim's second converted penalty kick already this season. And then in the run of play, a terrific pass from Bev Goebel. And you see the skill and the patience by Kim Little, who gets her second goal of the match and her fourth so far this season. And number 8, a member of the Scottish national team, is maybe the most talented newcomer in the NWSL this season already, with the 4 goals.
Yeah, it's clear that she's a force to be reckoned with. Little, she packs a big punch. She's just fun to watch, and again, she's just getting used to playing, with this team in this league against this kind of competition. But I think we're going to see great things from her all season.
Kika Toulouse, number 16, coming on to begin the second half for the Dash as she replaces Kalia Ohai. So Ohai's afternoon here in Seattle is over as Toulouse comes on.
And my guess is with that high ankle sprain that she's kind of been carrying, that at 2-0, I think Randy probably doesn't want to do her in for too much longer. And I would say at the beginning, towards the end of the first half, she started to look a teeny bit hobbled to me, to be honest. UCF fighting Golden Knight, Marissa Diggs in, number 23, into the midfield.
And Teresa Noyola has been subbed out. So 2 substitutions made by Randy Waldrum at halftime. LaRue with a touch to Little, who's double teamed. And Holly Hine came up with it and got it over to Becky Edwards for the Dash.
They got lucky there. Those are the kind of giveaways that you can't have. Backs playing into the midfield, collapsed on top of them, and you give the ball right back to Fishlock and Little, and Fishlock, who uncharacteristically just gives it away.
Kendall Fletcher sends it back to Solo. Sunny but cool here in Seattle. We're in the late afternoon.
Nice crowd on hand. Saw a lot of youth players, a lot of local college players coming into town.
And that was very obvious shove by Toulouse that sent Fishlock to the deck. And hopefully, look at that. It's kind of a body shot delivered.
Yeah, that's not one that you want to see, and one that will last too long. Hopefully with this official, that type of foul. Why he's again chatting a lot and not just pulling a card and putting the ball down and playing, I'm not quite sure, but
Jess seems to have recovered nicely.
That was a cardable offense to me.
And here's Toulouse, being chased down by Ellie Reed. Flicks it on for Elston. Advantage being played. And Stephanie Cox. Keelan Winters out to LaRue.
See how Holly Hine does here with the speed of LaRue.
And it'll be a corner for Seattle.
Anytime you have that kind of speed, you're running at that pace forward, and like O'Holly there, facing your own goal and a ball gets whipped in like that, you're in danger of giving up a corner at best. Own goals sometimes happen, and that's why it's so dangerous when you have players with that kind of pace just driving the inline and serving balls. Big weapon for the Reign.
You can see that wind is picking up pretty good here. Ball served in and punched away by McLeod. It'll be a throw in for the Reign. Good look at Sydney LaRue.
He's looking for Goebel.
Fishlock with a drop to Fletcher.
This is where they had a lot of their possession the other night in the front half. They were able to pin teams back in the half, show patience, just move the ball around them. It would be good to see them get into that kind of rhythm and patient rhythm again tonight.
Fletcher over the back, committing the foul. Given away that time by Edwards. Washington with the defensive play. Jordan Jackson playing it out wide. Lou Barnes, nice anticipation by Lauren.
Lou Barnes, the number 3 for Seattle, didn't have much to do the other night, has moved into a center back role. At UCLA, played a lot at outside back. You could see the pace. You could see her ability on the dribble. She's a little bit like Ellie Reed, where she can attack out of the back at pace. So fun to see her get her yayas out there a little bit and go on a forward run.
Out of Upland, California, where the Bruins ended in 2010. Fishlock. Here comes Reed on the overlap. Naho, a little strong on that pass to LaRue.
Not sure if that's who she was hitting it to or she was trying to get it by her to Little.
Bev Goebel recovering nicely on Romero.
Romero does well to pull it back and possess it. I'd love to see Houston get a little bit of a rhythm, possibly without having to go all the way back home to McLeod. Try to string some passes together here on Seattle, but Seattle making it a tough day for them. It's a good run by Ella.
Fletcher beating Masser to the ball, clears it out. Throw in for the Dash. Washington. Masser 1v1 with Reed. And good defense by Reed, but conceding the corner for Houston coming up, unofficially number 4.
Nikki Washington out to take the corner. Seattle's been pretty organized on these in the box and haven't really allowed much danger out of corner kicks. We'll see if the Dash can threaten here.
Short corner option for Washington. She will send it in. Far post. Washington sending it back. Header saved by Solo. Flag was up, offside, would have been called. But a job well done by Hope Solo, who gets it out quickly to Jess Fishlock.
That was almost in. That was well played by Hope. Elston was also crashing in on that back post. I think she and Hope collided a little bit, took a little bit of a knock to her leg. They continue to want to press, the Dash do. You see they have almost 5 across the back line right now, and the other 3 in the midfield having a hard time getting out. Right now, if you look in the midfield, Jordan Jackson and Marissa Diggs need to learn how to figure out Keelan Winters has popped up a little bit higher than she normally plays. Jordan Jackson tracking her here.
A lot of room, long run from the defensive line by Stephanie Cox.
I just think the mobility of the outside backs for the Reign, the mobility of their central midfielders, they are just flat out tough to defend.
Flag up, another offside call. Seattle looking for a 3rd straight victory here at home to open the season, for heading out on the road for 3 straight matches, starting on Wednesday when they'll be back in Piscataway, New Jersey to take on Sky Blue FC. Then on to Washington, a rematch for the Spirit on May 3rd. Spirit were here on Wednesday.
There you see the technical ability of Naho. Great run by Sid.
LaRue to Little to Naho. Fishlock thrown down by Jackson. No call. Good physical play.
Elston backing over on the offside. Great job by former Cornhusker Jordan Jackson to fight off Fishlock.
Jackson number 8 and Romero number 2, teammates with the Cornhuskers. And Jordan Jackson was the Big Ten midfielder of the year in 2013. Here's Jordan.
You were talking, Tom, before about the 3-game road swing that Seattle has, and hopefully our home fans will continue to tune in online, the NWSL website, to see the YouTube versions and streamed games from their away matches, and possibly travel down to Portland when they're in Portland right before they come home. That promises to be quite a derby. You know, part of the Cascadia, the only one we have right now in the NWSL. Maybe that'll grow eventually too, but certainly the Thorns, the reigning champions, the rain are coming for them.
Seattle looking forward to that opportunity. Reed with possession. Naho with some room. Fishlock. Oh, good defense that time by Becky Edwards coming in. A deflected shot leads to a Seattle throw-in.
You know, I will say that between injuries and just their roster's a little bit thin and the inexperienced portion, or just the element to Houston's team, that you can tell Randy has them on his side. I mean, they fight, they scrap, they keep playing. They're trying to do the things he's asking them to do. They've continued to press Seattle. It's just a little bit of a tall order at this time for their squad.
He said he was very, very happy with the effort he's received from his players. No quitting them.
Yeah.
They've, again, dealt with adversity. There's a lot of youth on this club. You have ACL injuries to 2 key players, and Bach and Sesselman. By the way, that Thorns-Seattle match on May 10th down in Portland will kick off at 7 o'clock.
Scrappy and well-won ball there by Houston. And I'll tell you, with the score 2-0, based on what they did on the weekend in their last match, is you don't want to let them hang around, and you certainly don't want to give them one and give them the confidence that they can stay in this game.
Well, they were shell-shocked right out of the gate in that match as Heather O'Reilly scored within the opening minute. So an early 1-0 deficit. But Masser and 2 goals. Shot! Solo with the save.
Great reaction save by Hope to tip that one over the bar. And we just made mention, this is a couple of chances they've had in this second half, and there's no quit in this team.
That was Toulouse. They got that powerful shot off. And it's an entirely different scenario, 2-0 versus 2-1. Short corner option this time for Washington. In fact, 2 players close to her, and it comes in to Jackson toward Hope Solo, who handles that with no problem.
And I have to think that the way she's facing over there, it doesn't look like it from where we're sitting, but I think the sun's in her eyes on corners from this side. That one came in low driven, and she caught it about chest height. Not sure how soon she saw it. So that was a dangerous ball whipped in there and well handled by Hope.
Nikki Washington unable to control that. So Reed with a throw in.
Boston leads Sky Blue in the 60th minute.
Little shaken up. She may have had that. Had a ball clipper maybe. The ball clipper in the face on one of those passes. Checks her nose.
She's just setting up for her next shot. She's casually walking over to the top of the box.
Winners with a shot, McLeod.
Great shot by Keelan and a great save by Aaron McLeod. You don't want to let Keelan Winters, or any Reign player for that matter, tee up with that much time and space within 25, 30 yards of your goal.
Keelan Winters scoring on Wednesday off a corner with her head.
She buried that corner. That was one that my team, they were in attendance and they were talking about for 3 days afterwards.
Well, what a fabulous save by Erin McLeod. It leads to another corner kick for Seattle. Naho to take it. Far post. LaRue. Here's Winters. Back inside.
I go, you go between Fishlock and LaRue.
Little looking for Goebel. Onside. Bev Goebel with a flick. And a Seattle corner. Bev Goebel. Good look at Bev, looking for her first goal this season. Naho, low this time to Goebel. Fletcher, the shot! And saved by Washington, it looked like.
It was a scrap in front of the goal. Both the post players did a great job of laying it out. It might have actually deflected off of Erin McLeod as well. I'm not positive, but again, the Houston Dash proven to just be tough and resilient and fighters. They're not going to give up anything without an effort.
Far post, Kawasumi serving it up, loose ball. And it remains in play. Cox settles it and serves it. Fishlock. Kawasumi, and that ball was over the goal line. Goal kick coming up for Erin McLeod.
I don't know at what point in the game, maybe after the 70th minute, we'll have the attendance figures, but after this 3-game homestand to start the season and then a 3-game away trip for the Seattle Reign, it'll be really exciting as summer and summer break for the kids around Seattle starts to come, and word on the street gets out about how much fun this team is to watch and what a great setting it is here at Memorial. I can't wait for them to come back home and see what these crowds end up swelling to. I really think, as Laura Harvey says, they want opposing teams to fear coming into Memorial Stadium, and I certainly think not only that, people of Seattle will be treated to a really great brand of soccer if they come on out.
Randy Waldrum telling me before the game that based on what he's seen so far, he feels Seattle's the most talented team in the NWSL. Now, again, things can change. The injuries were very early on, but certainly very strong indications that Seattle is going to be a serious player for the championship, basically through 2.5 games, outscoring the opposition 8-1.
And that, it's a long season, and a lot of different things can happen, and a lot of movement and adjustments can take place within the league. But what I would say is that in Laura we trust. She really knows how to manage the players well. She will manage their time well. She has a great understanding of international play and what that does to players and how she needs to work that within her team. And again, we haven't seen the likes of a Megan Brigman yet, a Danielle Foxhoven, much of Kate Dynas yet this year, Mariah Noguera. Look at their bench. There's some players here that if she plays her cards right, they will be very, very difficult to beat by any team on the day.
And if you're just joining us within the last few minutes, you're wondering about where's Megan Rapinoe. Megan dealing with a right foot issue. Did not play at all last game, although we were told she was available. We were told that she's available for tonight's game, but as long as Seattle has control of this match, we won't see Megan Rapinoe. I'm not sure we would anyway. Even though we were told she was available tonight, she was using crutches prior to the game, I think just to make sure she was putting no unnecessary pressure on that right foot. Saw her in training on Friday, running well. But they're going to take it easy with her. And again, the depth allows you to do that. Her place in the starting lineup taken by Naho Kawasumi.
Jordan Jackson's really come on in the half. I wondered with the substitution of Noyola in the midfield and Marissa Diggs coming on. I didn't really see much of Jordan Jackson in the first half, and to be honest, I didn't really see her doing much to win the ball back for her team, but she has been all over the place and working really hard to make it tough for Seattle this half. I've been impressed.
Goebel. Very nice switch to Naho. She serves it up. Fishlock going for the header. Would not have counted had the connection had been made. Kim Little committing the foul as she was in pursuit of that service. And shaken up just a bit. And dealing with something in the eye, nose area. Looks like the right eye maybe. '65th minute here at Memorial Stadium, the Moda Health pitch in Seattle, the first-year home of the Seattle Reign. Fletcher. Cox playing it forward. And Goebel chasing it down.
I'd say they kind of make easy work of it, the Seattle back line. They make what they do seem simpler than it is. The back line, well, here, we'll see how they do.
Masser.
This is where you take over, Tom.
Elston out wide, lost control. Bev Goebel comes up with it.
As I was saying, the Seattle back line of Cox, Barnes, Fletcher, and Ellie Reed, and they have others on the bench that could fill in there for any of the four of them. They've got good pace. They're all athletic. They're technically gifted passers. They're great 1v1 defenders. They've got Hope Solo standing behind them to give them the confidence to do what they need to do. And they really, they just make defending look simple.
Cox to Little. Fishlock. Back to Kim. Out wide, Naho. Nicely done. Low service. Goebel trying to create some room. Becky Edwards. Nice help on the defense for the dash. Ellie Reed, Lou Barnes, part of this Seattle defensive line last season. Stephanie Cox came on late after giving birth, so this is her first full season as part of that line. Kendall Fletcher, new to this team, so obviously new to the line. You know, I'm just curious in terms of last year. This is a group, or the defensive group last season, did not have a single shutout. How much of that maybe was because of the struggles offensively? Maybe they were getting more forward, trying to help things out offensively, and were getting countered on defensively.
Seattle absolutely had a lot to do with it. Their back line and their goalkeeping was good last year. They the types of goals they gave up, how they gave, was just that they got worn down. Midfield teams would collapse on top of them. Their forward line had a really difficult time holding the ball last year. They didn't get good possession out of their forward line. Jess Fishlock was asked to do, I felt, too much in the midfield for their team. They had a lot of midfield players playing up front that didn't want to go forward, that they played kind of back towards their own goal a bit of the time. So, you know, I just thought it was a situation where it was tough for them to find that attacking side of things to keep other teams from attacking against them. So great improvement this year. They had a really, really good preseason. They've all been able to be together and play a lot more than they did last year.
Little with the touch to LaRue.
Which is why I think you're seeing them gel this early in the first 3 matches of the season.
Randy Waldron, by the way, making his third and final substitution. Nikki Washington heads to the sideline, and Stephanie Oakes, number 22, has come on. Stephanie out of the University of San Diego. She was acquired via trade with the Washington Spirit.
Steph Oakes is a good player. She's got good speed, good firepower up front. We'll see if she and Elston can connect, get something going here.
There's Elston to Oakes. Job by Ellie Reed.
Ellie Reed all the way over on the other side of the box from her right back position, covering perfectly. It's textbook defending.
Goal kick coming up for Seattle. Stephanie Oakes, back in 2011, the West Coast Conference Player of the Year, and last season with Washington, a goal and 2 assists.
Cheryl Bailey mentioned the building of the roster and the job that Coach Waldron has done, and for an expansion team, and again, trying to get them not necessarily, going to be the deepest team or the most talented team or the most experienced team, but getting them to indeed play together as a team. He has clearly done. And then again, giving players the reward of having, been through the preseason, traveling on the roads, for a couple of matches so far, and giving players the chance to show what they have. And you know what? Again, it's early in the season, and to be able to put it up against this team and see what they can do is smart coaching, in my opinion.
That was a nice ball by Ellie Reed, looking for Bev Goebel. Lou Barnes. You can really judge to some degree how much Seattle has dominated in this match in terms of possession. We haven't mentioned that back line that much. When we do, oftentimes it's Reed coming in to an attack position, or Stephanie Cox. Headed out nicely that time by Romero. Naho getting it back, left-footed this time. Jackson out wide. Anticipation by Stephanie Cox, who goes flying and returns the favor. Foul on Stephanie. And for substitution for Seattle.
Leaving the game, number 17,
Bev Goebel, number 17, coming off and making her Reign debut. Number 18, Danny Foxhoven, who played last season for the NWSL champion Portland Thorns, out of the University of Portland. And with the Thorns, Foxhoven with 4 goals, 2 of those were game winners.
Yeah, you saw there at the end, right when she's inside the 6, and Naho played that ball into Bev Goebel. I talked about her being a target. The way she brought that ball down with her foot and spun on her player. Didn't get the shot off, but quickly went to win it back. I mean, she's really, really fun to watch. Danielle Foxhoven can score goals. She also technical, great at finishing with both feet, just pretty clean, and a tactically very wise player. So again, she's another moving part to the Reign lineup that continues to impress.
Certainly the University of Portland, an outstanding program, well represented on this Reign roster. Foxhoven, Ellie Reed, Stephanie Cox, Megan Rapinoe, Keelan Winters.
And our last interviewee, Amanda Frisbee.
Yeah. Amanda dealing
and
with
people say I don't like the pilots. I know Kim Stiles and Frenchie.
You don't have to like them all the time.
I know Kim Stiles and my pal Frenchie are listening, so I love my pilot friends. There's a few days a year I don't like them, but
understandable.
They're Reign players now. There's a big fan base at the University of Portland, and they love their soccer, much like the city of Seattle loves their soccer. When that game in Portland happens between the Thorns and the Reign coming up in May, there's going to be a lot of people that are torn. They remember these players. They remember Keelan Winters.
Yeah.
They remember Ellie Reed and Stephanie Lopez Cox, and they will come out they'll have a hard time rooting against them. The Pilot fans are, they're staunch, and they love their players. So that'll be a matchup where I'm sure they'll root for their hometown Thorns, but their hearts will be torn a little bit between rooting for their former Pilots.
May 10th, 7 o'clock.
What I say is it's all great for women's soccer.
Absolutely. Well, look, the fan support in Portland for that Thorns team has just been phenomenal.
I haven't been able to get to a game down there yet. That's my goal this season. I don't know that I'll be able to, looking at the calendar and the schedule, but would definitely love to and be in that atmosphere.
The rivalry got off to a great start down there. It was a Portland victory in the first meeting between the clubs last season in April, but Jess Fishlock scoring in that game, and She gave an enthusiastic fist pump that did, for some reason, just didn't sit that well with Portland fans, but it added a bit of intensity.
Well, maybe we'll see the backflip and a fist pump. Wouldn't that be great?
And the team's put on some terrific shows last season. Just trying to work her way through. There's LaRue. She goes down, shoves a Dash player as she hit the deck.
I think LaRue's still got one in her. There's time left in this game, and credit to the Dash defense. They've done a pretty good job of holding Sid in check. She hasn't seen a lot of clear breakaway opportunities. She hasn't really gotten behind them that much. She's done a lot of great work defensively and has been mobile up top. But again, credit the Dash defense for holding her in check.
In the 75th minute, look, if Houston can come up with a goal here and make it a one-goal deficit, all of a sudden the complexion of the game can really change in a hurry. McLeod up ahead, looking for Toulouse. Foxhoven. And Fletcher knocks it out. Throw in coming up for the Dash. Good look at Laura Harvey, head coach of the Reign, also the team's general manager prior to taking over in Seattle, the head coach of Arsenal in England, and leading that women's program to 3 league titles, 2010, 2011, and 12, so 3 successive championships, and a big reason why. Anchoring her team in the midfield, Kim Little. So she knew all about Kim. And Seattle is now learning all about Kim Little and what she brings, and not
Seattle,
only to this team, but to the NWSL.
Yeah, and Seattle's starting to learn a lot about Laura Harvey as well. Laura absolutely loves the city of Seattle and has embraced it as her new home. Has done a terrific job with the team, and you got to give Bill Credmore credit for the hire and for making her GM midway through last season. Round of applause from Sydney LaRue to the official for the foul.
Lead to a booking. Osi Ohale.
It'll be interesting to see who steps up and has this, if it's a shot on frame or a serve from the Reign. I don't know that we've seen this distance free kick yet. I'm taking note on their practiced restarts. We got Fishlock and Little lined up at the ball, along with Naho.
Let's see what they have in mind from about 30 yards out. McLeod directing traffic from goal, trying to get her wall organized.
They have Kim and Fishlock both on the ball chatting because they can understand one another's accents.
It's Little, wow, well struck.
She can hit it.
A little high, but terrific effort by number 8, Kim Little. She was the 2013 Player of the Year in England. Stephanie Oakes.
Look at this sideline over here. Fishlock, Naho, Reed, Winters, with Fletcher in behind supporting and Lou Barnes in behind Lindsay Elston. 6 players smashing them on a sideline. You're just not going to have anywhere to go with more than 1 or 2 touches. They're just smothering them.
And Oakes committing the foul.
Not sure about that, but it looks like the Boston Breakers are headed towards their first 3 points of the year. A few more minutes left in that game, up 3-1.
Boston opening its, Seattle opening its season against Boston with a 3-0 victory, and Houston last week defeating Boston at Harvard Stadium 3-2.
Both coaches good friends of mine, so I hate to pick one over the other, but good friend of mine from the U.S. Soccer instructional staff, Thomas Durkin, is the head coach for Boston, and want to shout out and congratulate him on his W as the first W as the head coach of the Boston Breakers this season.
Fishlock settles, drops it off to Winters. Foxhoven playing it wide to Reed. This defensive play that time and pass by Kika Toulouse.
Toulouse played over in Sweden some. I've not seen much of her. Played at the University of Virginia, I think, from 2007 to 2011.
It's hard to imagine as you look down at, as we just did, at the Reign bench and the players bundled up, and at least one with a stocking cap on. In 3 days, it'll be around 80 degrees in Seattle. So we go from somewhat unseasonably cool to certainly much warmer than you'd expect early in May here in the Emerald City.
Uncharacteristic
we'll take it.
giveaway by Lou Barnes there, and Dash could have done a little bit better there. Through ball for Baszler, maybe should have been played a little bit more to her feet after the running she's done already this game. But yeah, I think sometimes a stocking cap, this is Grunge City, USA. You'll see stocking caps here in the summer. That's fashion statement. That's not weather.
I am guilty of that sometimes myself. Can't find the baseball cap.
Throw on the
Grab
stocking cap.
Well, Seattle closing in on a second shutout in 3 matches this season after having 0 clean sheets a year ago.
Well, if something happens, I'm going to tell Hope you're the one that jinxed it.
I'll accept full responsibility.
I have faith, though. 9+ minutes left, and I'm saying they are close to closing in on their next clean sheet.
Loose ball in the box. Naho with a shot. A little bit high.
Ball girl did well to deflect that one.
Naomi Kawasumi. And as Leslie mentioned earlier, she'll be leaving to rejoin the Japanese national team on May 4th and will not return to the Reign until the end of the month or early in June. So she will certainly be missed. But again, the depth, if Rapinoe's foot is completely healed, where they would like it anyway, and she can pick up a lot of those minutes, it would be Megan returning to the starting lineup with Naho back with Japan. Foxhoven.
And as soon as Pino is well rested and foot feeling better, insert here. Carry on.
Yeah. No drop off either way from what we've seen so far.
No. You know, you're talking to Amanda Frisbee as a young rookie on this team and at training and just being around these players. Their training sessions. Ellie Reed just fantastic. Yeah. I mean, she's laid it out there today.
Nasser was right there, and if not for that effort to head it out by Reed, a potential goal for Houston, their best scoring opportunity really so far in this second half.
You know, for everything that Ellie Reed lacks as a pickleball player, she certainly makes up for as a right back.
Little known fact, I did not know that. Far post, header down by Toulouse and flicked out by Little. Another corner coming up for the Dash.
I think Ellie's face skidded across the turf on that diving header to clear it, but she's been all over the place today. Again, unsung hero probably for me, breaking up any attacks that the Dash have had, solid going forward, knocked around. The Dash playing, you know, fairly physical and not dirty by any means, but just a really tough, hard team, which is great to see. And she's withstood it and then some.
Elston from one corner to the other to take this one. Oh, and a breakaway opportunity for Seattle. Little up ahead. Kawasumi trying to get on it, and the flag is up.
I mean, from up here, it's obvious, but as a soccer player, it's not obvious to all players when they're in the middle of the game. But Kim Little, she has eyes in the back of her head. She saw that run. She saw that seam. You knew she wasn't going to take more than one touch with the bouncing ball to try to find, was it Neho over there or Foxhoven on the switch? It's just, you know, her vision and her savvy as a player is top notch.
Romero, headed by Fletcher. Toulouse. Sidney LaRue in pursuit as the ball's played back by Romero. And McLeod sends it out. Throw in for Reed.
LaRue's going to get a late one, I can feel it.
Seattle with 3 goals in each of its first 2 matches, hoping to add a third here, although they would be more than happy to get out of this one with a 2-0 victory and 9 points, the maximum total through the first 3 matches this season. Fishlock getting aggressive with Edwards, comes up with the ball, just Fishlock. And turning it over as Romero plays it forward, looking for Lindsay Elston. Guarded by Barnes. And now help from Stephanie Cox. Oaks losing it. Keelan Winters. And a throw in for Houston. The next game for the Dash, May 3rd. They'll host FC Kansas City. Cheryl Bailey was right at halftime. That opening match for the Dash, home match against Portland. Very supportive, enthusiastic, good-sized crowd for them. Really a nice early indicator for the success of this franchise in Houston.
Yeah, they hired the right coach. They're connected with a great club. Chris Canetti seems like a great guy. They've given the Dash the resources and the wherewithal to do what they need to do to be a successful team in this league, which is great to see. Kate Dynas, number 4, for the Seattle Reign, being handed the substitution card here. Kate's played late in every game so far this year. She's come in. Again, tough competition on this team. Kate's worked very, very hard in the offseason to improve her game and saw a lot of minutes last year. With the addition of Kendall Fletcher, it's been tight competition between the two of them. I know not an easy choice for Laura Harvey. Kate's a great professional, understands that, is going to make the most of the minutes that she has and be ready when her team needs her. And she's come in and filled her role. She can spray balls all over the field. She's a good defender. She's great in the air, scored a couple of great goals with her head in the preseason games. So again, just another great example of the depth of this team.
Little settles with the ball. Taken away by the Dash. Hine with it. Nice little skill set there by Toulouse.
Yeah, she's crafty. I've liked her. I've not seen her play before, and she's come on and done a couple little back heels and possessed the ball well, and tried some things that maybe you don't see every day from that spot, but she's good on the ball.
So Jess Fishlock will come off. Very strong performance by Jess. And Kate Dynas comes on. Locally played at Issaquah High School, about 20 miles east of Seattle, before moving on to play for Leslie at the University of Washington.
I think it's when you say the actual word husky that the Twitter people or the stream people drink. There's a game out there.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I've been told.
If I'd known earlier, I could have helped him out a little more.
Husky. It's Sunday afternoon. We probably shouldn't encourage them. People have jobs, you know.
Stephanie Cox, Portland Pilot, just in case there's another game going on. That Pilot mentioned out there.
There you go. Keelan's been solid again this game.
Yeah.
Connects the back line, the midfield line. Rarely loses the ball for her team. Picks and chooses great times to go forward.
And LaRue coming up with it. 1-on-3. Sydney LaRue. And it'll be a corner for Seattle.
Sid's working. She's my new favorite. She's my new favorite tough player. She's got 1 ball's back. She just keeps plugging away, and it's been impressive. I'm saying at this point she deserves a goal. Stick it on her head.
We are in the 90th minute. Naho to take the corner. Near post. And Stephanie Oakes playing it out. Winters tracks it down. And that foul will go against Seattle. That was Foxhoven.
A little bit of a late swing. It's been interesting, you know, that it feels a little bit more like a 2-goal game for Seattle. Certainly, the Dash have had a couple of dangerous opportunities, but for the amount of ball that Seattle has had, you know, it'd be fun to see one more goal.
LaRue onside. Sydney LaRue going against McLeod. 1v1. Sydney LaRue.
There you go. Oh. The post. If you know Sid, you're looking at everyone on the bench. There's not one person, including Laura Harvey, that's going to want to see her after the game. Her buddy Megan Rapinoe is up, clapping for her, telling her, "Good try, Sid." Sometimes it just doesn't fall.
Everything right, except that.
Yeah.
Great play.
Checked over her shoulder to see where her nearest covering defender was. Hit the ball when the keeper was moving. Just didn't hit it clean. Happens. Maybe I jinxed you, Sid. I apologize.
Nice job by Holly Hine that time.
Holly Hine's a great story out of the University of Michigan. She's a former Wolverine cancer survivor. Survived thyroid cancer during her college time. To be playing professionally now with the Houston Dash, what a great story.
About a minute and a half of added time remaining here in Seattle. A 2-0 Reign lead. Look at LaRue with a header now, trying to track it down and taken out that time by O'Hale.
I just love how hard she's
Clean
fighting.
tackle.
I'm telling you, this is not, you would not have seen this maybe early on in her college career. She's always been a hard player and a tough player, but just the relentlessness over 90 minutes. I've really been impressed with Sid. She's going to do great things for the Reign this year.
College career at UCLA. Kawasumi sending it in. Foxhoven. Playing it back to Cox. Back to Foxhoven and back to Cox. That'll be a corner for Seattle. That's ruled a goal kick.
Everyone wants to see another goal.
30 seconds now of added time remaining. Handball against Ellie Reed. See if Houston can get one more opportunity. And they cannot. That is it. A full 90 plus played here in Seattle, and mission accomplished for the Reign as they win all 3 of their games here at home to open the season A combined score of 8-1 as they get it done today against the Dash by a final score of 2-0. Both goals coming in the first half via Kim Little, a penalty kick in the 19th minute. And then in the 38th minute, off an assist, a beautiful pass from Bev Goebel. Little getting her second goal of this match and her fourth this season. She scored twice in the season opener against Boston. That was a 3-0 Seattle victory. The Reign followed that up with a 3-1 win over Washington. And now a 2-0 win against the Houston Dash. The Dash dropped to 1 win, 2 losses. And we'll look to even their record at 500 when they play host to FC Kansas City on May 3rd. Coming up next for the Reign, 3 straight on the road, beginning Wednesday in Piscataway, New Jersey against Sky Blue FC. Then on Saturday, they will be in Maryland to take on the Washington Spirit, a rematch between the two clubs that played here in Seattle, a 3-1 Reign victory. And then May 10th, 7 o'clock kickoff Saturday night, May 10th in Portland against the Thorns. Well, all in all, I mean, it's basically what we've seen. I think that's the encouraging part, is the level of play has been very consistent through the 3 matches so far for Seattle, Leslie.
Well, you know, that happens when you're too deep in every position. You can have an 11-side scrimmage at training that replicates a game. The competition between players to want to start and get the minutes will add to the consistency, and it's just a very well-organized, technically, tactically sound, and physically fit team. I mean, they run teams into the ground, from the outside backs to the forward players to the midfield players running at you, and their technical ability to keep possession adds to the fact that they're just a very difficult team to play against, and I think that's only going to get more tough for opponents as they start to gel more, as they start to get used to one another, and as they get the confidence of having victories behind them.
And we saw the superior play, especially in the midfield tonight, which Randy Waldrum had talked about prior. Yeah, that was the main area of concern for him, and with Little and Fishlock and the rest of that crew in the midfield for Seattle, as you look at owner Bill Predmore in the red coat.
Looks like they're giving somebody a game ball. I can't quite tell who. Bill's got a
Sam
game ball
Lady, an
award.
assistant coach, is to Bill Predmore's right. To Bill's left, his wife Teresa, very involved with his team as well, a former player at Oregon State. So somebody is getting something very nice. That may actually be something that was presented to Bill and to Teresa from the team, possibly.
It's a set of gloves and a signed ball. And we're just going to say, Hope Solo signed glove, I see. And a team signed ball. Maybe it's their anniversary. Let's just make something up.
I like that.
It's an anniversary gift to the
Predmore.
Pedmores.
I like that. Seattle
no
tonight,
one gives
by
us
the
any
way.
information, Tom. We're just going to make stuff up.
Send in your suggestions on Twitter if you'd like to exactly what's going on. That's very nice.
And there's the 4 Predmore kids tumbling around on the field. Laura huddling the team up afterwards. And again, you know, Randy Waldrum, calm, cool, and collected on the bench, watching his newer, younger team franchise in this league fight hard, you know, on the road for the second time in a row against a very, very good Reign team, to only lose 2-0 and to create some chances and really not give away anything to the Reign. They had to earn what they got.
Well, and they're going through growing pains that we saw Seattle go through last season.
Absolutely.
And it's just part of the process. And you think, all right, they're an expansion team, but it's just year 2 of a league. Well, you can see what a year head start can mean in terms of difference. Yet they already have 1 win. They got it on the road. They showed tremendous resilience coming from behind twice to get that victory. And again, a coach with a proven track record, the things he did at Notre Dame in his 14 years there, 2 national championships, the affiliation with the Houston Dynamo of Major League Soccer. There's nothing negative about that. I mean, it's going to be fun, I think, for the fans in Houston to watch this team develop, to watch the changes that are made along the way. And again, what we saw in Seattle in an offseason, the almost seemingly daily changes made by Laura Harvey to her roster in the makeover. It's part of the excitement, really, of a new
it's
young
great.
league.
And these players, Lindsay Elston, for one, I'll tell you, there you see her there, played a great 90 minutes tonight. And, sometimes you look at your own players and you kind of have a microscope on top of them to see what they're doing well, to see what they're not doing well. I thought Lindsay fought hard. She created some things. She kept the ball for her team. She got forward. Her defending was good. And it's the same with a lot of the other Dash players, is that they came up against a good team tonight and they just didn't come on the right end. Much like the Reign last season, and what you were just alluding to, Tom, is what Laura Harvey did so well with this team when they weren't getting results last year. And again, the Dash have a result this year, and I think they're going to get plenty more. I know Randy Waldrum. The chemistry on this team will be great. They will keep their heads up regardless of what the results are. They will stay together as a team. They will play as a team, and at the end of the day, that's what's going to be the crux of where they move forward to. And that's why Randy was such a great coach to bring into a new franchise, is that he'll build a great team. It might not happen overnight, but over time, you watch. They'll be a team to be reckoned with.
Great to be alongside you again here tonight. We'll get back together when the Reign play their next home match. We'll wait a while for that. It'll be Wednesday, May 14th. That'll be a 7 o'clock kickoff as the Reign play host to FC Kansas City here at Moda Health Pitch. 3 for 3 to open the season here in Seattle for the Reign. A 2-0 victory this evening against the Houston Dash, and first place in the NWSL with 9 points belongs to Laura Harvey's Seattle Reign. For our entire crew here in Seattle, along with Leslie Gallimore, our thanks to Cheryl Bailey, the Executive Director of the NWSL, for joining us at halftime. I'm Tom Glasgow. Hope you enjoyed it tonight, everyone. Again, the final score is Seattle 2, Houston 0.
Thanks, Tom, and let it rain.